Welcome to the Love, Sex, and Leadership podcast, where you can discover simple tantric teachings to embody your true power, awaken your soul's wisdom, and live an inspired life as a natural, intuitive, and heart-centered leader.
It takes courage to listen to that voice, to listen to an inner guidance system that might be something that you've never listened to before. And that spirit molecule, that DMT, is a naturally occurring substance inside of our body. We can take different things to help us remember who we really are. Move beyond the veil, beyond the illusion, to remember our inherent eternal nature. And that remembering journey is a consistent one. Every time you fall asleep, you might drift to different realms and spirits and spaces. And when you wake up, you're again back in this body. Rather than denying this body, how can you utilize this body as a gateway to know spirit more, to know this eternal nature more? When you have these moments of inspiration, in spirit, when you are inspired from within, you are connected to spirit, you're connected inside of your body and being to a realm beyond understanding. There's a vibrational alignment happening through your central channel, the same central channel that we've been clearing, awakening, moving through day by day through this week, where quite possibly today or at other points in your life there can be a deep a deep aha, a deep opening, an expansion, a seeing beyond the veil. That moment might happen just for a millisecond or a second, and then some part of your consciousness or beingness comes back in to recognize again the humanness. And sometimes in taking plant substances or consciousness altering substances, that period of time beyond the veil may have increased. And part of our journey this week is to know the potency and the power of this body temple without taking anything, without implementing something into your body temple other than the potency and the power of your breath, of your sound, and of this moving galactic integrated body. And what does that require? A certain level of both deep faith and surrender. But maybe not a faith of following some amorphic religious god, pie in the sky dream that mom and dad forced you to go to every Sunday, or whatever that may be, but a deep surrender into something greater than what you could possibly know. Breathe that all in.
And as you're in that contemplation, I'd love you to raise your hand if fundamentally you believe that there is some spirit, God, some entity that is us, that we are a part of, that exists. Right. Probably would be here unless there was some kind of inkling or experience of that which is unnameable. And if we could all just hold that remembrance that we are divine beings having a human experience, and that we are part of God, grand organized design, then we wouldn't have anything, we wouldn't stress about anything, because we would be trusting the flow of life. We would be trusting that whatever is presenting in our life, moment to moment, day to day, month to month, year to year, is happening in perfect, grand, organized design. And who's experienced living in moments where something's happening and there's a trust that, no, I'm really trusting that this is happening for a reason and that this is going to be in my benefit, right? So do you think that spirit takes holidays? Right, so let's play that one out. So Spirit's like, sorry, I'm taking a break. I've got this Netflix series that I just got to watch. So, world, I'm going to leave you to it. I'm going to let your life go to shit. And then when I feel like it, I'll come back and, guide you through it, and then everything will work out in the end. It feels like that. It feels like that. And yet, if I look back on my life, and I'd like you to do this with me now, if there was one thing I could tell myself that I would just anchor in and know for sure, it's that everything works out in the end. The amount of times in my life that I have been in stress, anxiousness, overwhelm, despair, hopelessness, because it feels like it's never going to change. Whatever that stuckness is that I was in is never going to change. And then it works out better than I could have thought, because I commit to the practice, I commit to the work. Sometimes I don't, for sure. But more and more I do, because I know that it's going to move me through to the next stage of my evolution. And the number of times that I'm like, right, for sure, I am never going to doubt again. For sure, next time, no matter what happens, I'm going to trust. And then it happens again. But that gap between losing faith and going into fear, rather than holding faith and trusting the process, is so much smaller in my reality now, so much smaller. And I used to be a massive stress head, my goodness, because I've had enough experiences now where the most challenging parts of my life have led to the most glorious expansions, and I wouldn't change any of it. I wouldn't change any of it, because it's given me the tools and the inner resources to trust actually myself, that now, no matter if relationships end, no matter if careers end, no matter if my living situation changes, that I've got myself, that I know how to hold myself and love myself through that and to process that. And I trust in spirit and life and grand organized design. Because to not do so is to be against life and against this miracle of life. And I find it actually quite egotistical that I could think that I have control over my life, and that spirit doesn't know what's best for me, and actually I know what's best for me. Let's receive a breath in. So what would it feel like to just let go of resistance to what is? What would it feel like if, when something comes up, the perspective, because our perspective is our choice, instead of being, oh no, why is that happening? Shit, I don't want that to happen. This perspective is, oh, okay, this is interesting that this has come up. All right, I'm going to feel any resistance, breathe into that, and just keep opening and expanding into curiosity to trust what this process is showing me. How different would our lives be? And I stopped trusting that. My 10 years in India, I was in trust and surrender, but then my relationship was so unhealthy. Our sexuality together, my husband and I, was so unhealthy. And so I turned my back on faith and trust in something, the grand organized design. And the reason that I had to turn my back on that is because I was using it as a bypass of my emotional body. And then I became a punching bag for my ex-husband's trauma, essentially. And it took Tantra of going, that's why we go from base, and the second to last day, we go up into trust and surrender. Whereas if we just worked on the upper chakras with you, you'd all be bypassing all of the stuff that you've been processing the last few days. And I find that more dangerous, actually, way more dangerous, because that comes out in, like you hold a ball with air in it underwater, it's just gonna come up and smack you in the face. So you can trust yourself to trust spirit that is you. Actually, you are everything that we're putting out there as this like spirit grand organized design. We are that source. We've just forgotten it. We're remembering it. So we are in duality. So we create that separation so that we have something that we can digest and integrate with our consciousness, which is to say spirit. But then that is us. So we're learning to trust ourselves. And my prayer is that every one of you can start catching the moments that you go, oh, shit, fuck, oh, why is this happening? Because it doesn't feel good in the body. It's just contraction, contraction, negativity, fear, fear, fear. So catch those moments. Catch those moments and have accountability. And I say this previously, and I continue to say, please, to my dear friends, when I'm in that, like, babe, there's resistance. And then it's like, wow, thank you, thank you. Catch it. Okay, I'm going to be curious rather than thinking that I can even possibly control the outcome of my life. And that is Tantra. It's to flow, it's to weave, and it's to co-create with God. And life becomes a whole lot more sweeter and pleasant when we're trusting that flow. And I shared with you where I was at the end of last year, in hell, 3 months of living hell. But there was a part of me, and I'm congratulating myself on this all the time, to say, that was really hard to leave a relationship, a country, and an academy, a life that I built. But the reason that I could do that is because I trusted that wherever I ended up, and it was so unknown, I had no idea which country I was going to end up living in or what I was going to do with my life. I didn't even know if I'd continue with Tantra. I had to let everything die because there was so much stress and things that weren't in alignment in my life. But that thread of trust is what kept me going through it. And that trust was every day bringing my hands to my body and being like, you are safe, Tara, just keep feeling, you've got this, you don't need to know the answers. And praying to spirit and saying, I trust you. I'm so done with trying to control my life. Show me. Show me how I can be a channel of whatever wants to move through me. Show me. You show me. And I put it back on spirit. Which is the ultimate act of surrender. is to be in the unknown with the knowing that you are so looked after. To be in the unknown, knowing that you are so looked after. Because what other choice do you have? It's either that option or to go into fear of all the worst case scenarios of the mind. They're your two options. So even not from a spiritual, mystical perspective, but even just from a logical perspective, why would you not choose trust? Why would you choose everything's going to go to shit? Because of the addiction to fear that we have grown up in. And because of the absence of education in our Western society of the nature of reality, which is what the mysticism of Tantra and many other religions bring into their children's lives. And it's what quantum physics, for those who need the rational mind understanding, has proven. So the reality that we create for ourselves, and this is one thing that I had to get my head around, which I now understand and is very simple, is that there are terrors going on in the world. There is rape, there is murder, there is genocide, there is poverty, there is starvation, and there is a very beautiful, magical, aligned life also that people are living. And what I came to realize is that our thoughts, our words, our actions, our deeds, how we align our life, either we create a living hell for ourselves or we create heaven on earth for ourselves. Does that mean that we don't feel pain? No. As Buddha said, pain is inevitable. We live in duality. Pain is inevitable. Suffering, however, is optional. So if you are focusing on all of the stuff that is going supposedly wrong in your life, or that there is a pain response to, what do you think you're going to attract more of? And this is why I was banging on about gratitude yesterday. If you focus on how freaking privileged we are, we're in like probably the top 5% of the human population with how privileged we are to be in Bali right now, sitting on luxurious mattresses, eating more food than we probably need, learning how to evolve so that we can live a life of bliss. And yet we've all had incredible struggles in our life. And yes, there is pain and trauma in the nervous system. And that's the beauty of duality, and that's the path of evolution that we're now on. We've been through the physical evolution. Spirit or whatever it is like, right, now we've got humans with these brains, with this heart connection, with this nervous system. These guys are the ones who can now remember the truth of reality. So now we're going through an emotional and a spiritual evolution, which is our path of growth and expansion. And where attention goes, energy will follow that. Energy will flow to that. So mindset is a foundation that should be taught in primary school. I wasn't taught mindset. I wasn't taught it by my parents. I wasn't taught it in any kind of sphere of education. So I've had to work a lot on mindset, which is why I love that Joe Dispenza meditation, because it just like anchors it in so deeply for me. Please someone remind me to put that in the thread. So every day it's a choice, and it's the micro moments that really count. It's the micro moments of all the little periods throughout the day where you choose to go into versus okay, And I will do that as many times as a day as I need to. If I catch myself looking at myself in the mirror in a certain way, picking up my phone and being like, oh, I'm like, great, I have a fucking amazing job with a beautiful team of people doing great work in the world. I love that I've got 17 messages in the lunch break. And when I have spaciousness and time, I'm going to pour my heart into that. And I'm making choices for myself so that if there is contraction, I'm also listening to that and not going on autopilot of like, well, I have 15 minutes now, I'll work. No, I'm going to listen to the contraction, see what it's telling me. Now's not the right time. Trust, surrender, and then wait for a spacious opportunity that I can actually be present with that action. And often we're causing ourselves stress because we're on autopilot and we're trying to do everything now. So the other part of living in a state of trust and surrender is it needs spaciousness. And if you are someone who, like me previously, was go, go, go from the moment I woke up in the morning on my phone working, trying to juggle so many balls at once to the moment I crashed at night exhausted, then there's no room for connection to spirit. There's no room for connection to self, to source, because that connection is, it's in the, what's the word? It's in the ethers, and it's in the subtleties. And those subtleties can only be accessed when there's a stillness of the busy mind. So meditation, essential, and can only be accessed when the nervous system isn't buzzing. So emotional express and release, essential. It can only be accessed when we're connected to our hearts. So gratitude for the gifts that we have of life, essential. And when we are creating our lives from that space of being connected to source, being connected to ourselves, and being connected to the community around us, then you start to see the beautiful weave of life and spirit and the synchronicities that are beyond what our mind can understand. And that's faith. That's faith. Let's receive a breath.
Just sitting up if you're not in this moment. I just want to invite you into a bit of inner inquiry. We've shared around this connection to faith, this connection to surrender, this connection to deeper trust. And maybe there's a hand on your body somewhere, just connecting to your body. The first question I want to ask you is, are you in that relationship in your day-to-day life? Do you genuinely feel a deep trust in spirit? And don't be all spiritual about this and try to mind fuck yourself. If you're not, just be honest with it. Is that something that you incorporate into your life when things are a little bit astray, when there's been an accident or situation? In that moment, where does your mind, heart, and awareness turn towards? Is it the universe has got my back, or oh fuck, God hates me? What's the truth of the matter there? In real deep honesty. And maybe it's something to do with a religious or spiritual upbringing, or maybe it's you're so traumatized by your religious upbringing that you run away from anything that even resembles God. And what if God had nothing to do with religion? What if spirit had nothing to do with an organized sect of individuals coming together to pray to the divine? What if you could invite deeper prayer, spirit, the divine, to something greater than the self. So part one, you're really looking at where that relationship has been. And part two, what do you think could change or shift if you incorporated deeper levels of trust, faith, appreciation? And just notice, even in when I'm saying those words, faith, God, spirit, what are the connotations that you hold to it? Because probably for many of you, if there has been some level of religious upbringing, there might be a repulsion of that energy and feeling like, that reminds me too much of what I don't like. Or there might be a confusion because you've never had any level of healthy education around it. Just really get curious. Get curious about A, how the relationship has been, and B, what would life potentially change, shift, awaken if you incorporated a little bit of deeper trust in the divine, whatever that means to you.